Schwen, Tuscanora. It's Tuscarora. Hello, how are you? I'm going to say a quick Thanksgiving prayer. Iguana huatata, equahegua. Iguana huatata, and ufke. Iguana huatata, CCHS. Iguana huatata, rawadat. And what I said there was, we're thankful for our people. We're thankful for our earth. We're thankful for CCHS. And we're thankful for our Creator God. That's in the Tuscarora range. So I'm Tuscarora, and you might ask, what do you wear? This is our headdress. This is our cultural regalia, or wear that we would wear during ceremonies, things like that. This is a Pistoy. This is a medallion here of my clan. I'm the Bear clan, Black Bear clan. My mother is sitting right over here. She's wearing some of the women's regalia of her for the women, and we get our clan through our mother, nobody else. So she's Bear, and my grandmother, May Mount Pleasant Prittup, is from the Bear clan. So I have my Bear clan here with some bear claws. So just to let you know, I'm going to take this off because it gets a little hot. But a little bit of background on me. After college, I went into the Army, became a helicopter pilot, and I just remembered something recently, and that is that the helicopters in the Army, almost all of them are from Tuscarora tribes. I'm sorry, not Tuscarora tribe, but Indian tribe. The Iroquois is the UH-1 Huey. I flew that. The Kiowa is the OH-58. I flew that. The Black Hawk is the UH-60. I flew that. The Cobra is what's called the Huey Cobra. So the Iroquois is part of the Iroquois tradition. So that's the one that's not an Indian tribe. So there's some similarities there as I look back in my Army career and say, wow, there's something going on here. Let me ask you something. How many here are wearing clothes? Raise your hand if you're wearing clothes. Okay. I think everybody, something. Let me ask you, are your clothes, how many threads are in your clothes?
Threads.
Thousands and thousands, maybe, we don't know, you have to count, right? Does each thread, or does one thread make up your shirt? No. It's the combination of all of them woven together that make up your shirt. And I would like to make that analogy and cross over to we as people, we as human beings, we as our character, our soul. We have threads of life that weave us. So we're all different. We all have different shirts that we wear. We all have different threads that go through us. And two of those threads that go through my life is my grandmother and my great uncle. My great uncle was Frank Mount Pleasant. My grandmother was Mamie Mount Pleasant. I'm sorry I don't have slides here to show you what they look like. And before I forget, Frank Mount Pleasant is in here. Do a shout out for the Indian Industrial School by Linda Whitmer. Is this still in production?
Yes,
Okay.
it's in paperback. It's in paperback.
It's in paperback. Well, I bought this about 21 years ago. So, great book. Another great book is The Real Americans. This is by Sally Jenkins. I spoke with her. Frank Mount Pleasant is in here. And then another one is by Tom Benjay, Doctors, Lawyers, and Indian Chiefs. This is fantastic because it goes through, I don't know, 40 or 50 different people that have went through Carlisle Indian School. And one full chapter is on, guess what? Frank Mount Pleasant, my great uncle. I collaborated with Tom Benjay on this book many years ago as far as Frank Mount Pleasant goes. So let me back up and say, I'm Tuscarora, or as we would say, Straduda. My mother and my grandmother grew up. We all grew up there on the Tuscarora Nation, located just outside of Niagara Falls, New York. So, in growing up, I had my grandmother across the street from us. And so, as a little boy, 4 or 5 years old, and all her how many grandchildren? So she had like 30, I can't remember. I lost track. But we got to stay overnight with her. We were small. She lived with her daughter Esther, which would be my aunt, and her married husband Elwin. So there's three of them across the street: my aunt, my grandmother, and my uncle. And so we would, at a young age, stay overnight, have a sleepover with my grandmother. And at 4, 5, 6 years old, I remember staying the night with my grandmother in my grandmother's bed, in my grandmother's bedroom. And at night, every night, as far as I know, she would get down on her knees and she would pray. And I would, at that age, I'd try to listen to see what she was saying. Couldn't understand it. Could not understand it. So I would have to surmise that she was talking Tuscarora and praying in Tuscarora. And let me say one more thing. I know the earlier lady this morning mentioned a lot about the church and how the church has really has done disservice to the Indians. Well, I'm Christian. Let me just say, my great-grandfather was the pastor of the Tuscarora Baptist Church, which still stands. And let me just say that the church is made up of sinners. And those are the sinners are the ones that we're doing, not the church. So let's make that distinction. The church itself, as an institution, as God's church, is not supposed to be responsible for that kind of trauma, that kind of wrongs that we do to each other. Those are individuals and sinners like me, okay? Not that I would ever do that, but I hope you get the distinction, okay? I just wanted to say that. But growing up with across the street from my grandmother, there's always, we talk and things, but she never mentioned Carlisle. We knew she went there. Every once in a while, something would come up. Oh, yeah, something happened, or should say something. In fact, I asked my mother again, is there anything else that you can remember, that Grandma said about Carlisle? And one story, well, this is it. She said she couldn't really remember anything other than the best story, the verbal, I think somebody here said the verbal history that we have about Carlisle. Now, backing up again, my grandmother went from 1908 until 1917. So your father would have known, probably been in the same building, and your relatives too would have been in the same building as my grandmother, along with the famous Jim Thorpe. Well, guess what? Jim Thorpe wanted to date my grandmother. It even gets better. They would ask her, well, what did you say when he asked you to go on a date or whatever? She said, and listen. She said, he's too ugly. That's in this book. So, that's a great story, and I love to tell it because, Jim Thorpe, especially in his older years, he didn't have the outside appearance he had as a young. But anyhow, be that as it may. There's two stories about Jim Thorpe because she knew him. My grandmother knew him. And that is, I think Jim Thorpe died in 1953, I believe. He came by the house. He came to visit my grandmother. And nobody knew about it. And again, this is verbal history, but my uncle who lived with my grandmother and my aunt were there. And so they were married in 1950. So between 1950 and 1953, probably 50 to 52, is when Jim Thorpe came to the Tuscarora Nation and visited my grandmother. So it's another really interesting part of my thread in my shirt. Okay, enough about my grandmother. She was a great woman, great one. All I can remember is how kind she was, how spiritual she was, how she would always wear a dress. Never wore pants. I never saw her wore slacks or pants or jeans. Always with a dress, and always had an apron on. She was a good sewer, but she learned how to seamstress, but she learned how to do here. The other great Tuscarora that I want to talk about, and how much time do I have?
It's just have 5 minutes.
Okay, this is gonna take like a half hour. I'll try to respect the time, but Frank Mount Pleasant. Raise your hand if you ever heard of Frank Mount Pleasant. 1, 2, 3, okay, there's a few. Frank Mount Pleasant, my grandmother's brother. He was older. He went to Carlisle from 1896 to 1907. He played on the football team. He was considered slight. He was only like 140 pounds, 160 pounds when he was playing football. But he's very quick. He played quarterback. By the way, I played quarterback in high school. And then, but he played quarterback, and there's argument of who threw the first forward pass ever in a football game. Argument was either my uncle and somebody else. I don't care who the other name is, but Uncle Frank was an avid thrower within the football team. Now, Thorpe and Frank crossed paths on the football team for 1 year in 1907. And then he took off, he left, he graduated from Carlisle, and he went to Dickinson. But going to Dickinson, he also trained to be on the Olympic team. Frank was a great runner. He did just about everything you could think of. His best events were the broad jump, or the long jump as we know it, and the triple jump. Well, guess what? He made the Olympic team. He went to the 1908 Olympics in England and participated in those Olympics. He had an injury just prior to the Olympics, so he didn't fare very well. He placed 6th in the broad jump and the triple jump. But however, a few months later in Paris, which would now be the World Games, he beat the gold medalist in the broad jump. So, you know, had it not been for an injury, I'd be wearing a gold medal, an Olympic gold medal. But as we think, but there's all kinds of stats and everything in this book about what Frank did. You can read about it, or I can show you. But you know, the threads of our life that make us who we are today. You know, it's our experiences. It's our what we choose to do. Some of it we don't choose to do. What our parents made us do. And by the way, nobody at Tuscarora was forced to come here to Carlisle. Everyone thought, as your father did, it was a great opportunity. When my great-grandfather sent his 3 or 4 kids here, it was for the opportunity, for the education. And it was considered an honor to go there. So even though, yes, things did happen that in today's standard should never have happened, but you know, I just don't believe we can put our standards and what we know and put it on top of the people that actually did things 100 years ago, over 100, and say, you're bad, you did this, you know the deal. But today we should take what we know today and move forward. I can't blame everyone for what happened 100 years ago, but I can blame myself what happens between now and tomorrow. Okay, but I just want to end saying that I appreciate the opportunity to come here. I've been here before. I was stationed at Carlisle in the Army. I was stationed at Carlisle Barracks. That's where I first, I guess, woke up to the Carlisle experience, and that was walking through or driving through the front gate at Carlisle Barracks in 1995, and that's where I learned really what Carlisle Barracks was and Carlisle Indian School is all about. It's just an experience as I realized, you know, it was like an emotion going through me. It's like, this is where my grandmother was. This is where my great uncle was. They walked these grounds that I know, and I appreciate it. So I just enjoy being around people that have positive things and positive memories about a lot, you know, about their family and relatives, and I really appreciate the time. Any questions that you have, I would gladly try to answer. Thank you.